Previously hailed as the guy who would fill Cristiano Ronaldo's enormous shoes and guide Portugal into a new era, João Félix's move to Al-Nassr at 25 has undoubtedly come as a shock to many supporters. After graduating from the illustrious Benfica Academy, he moved to Atletico Madrid for an estimated €127.2 million, £113 million, in 2019 after shocking everyone with performances that were beyond his years. But he never lived up to the price tag, departing for Chelsea just 5 years later for £47.2 million. But once more, Félix failed to make an impression, and 6 months later he was on loan at AC Milan before leaving Stamford Bridge for Al-Nassr, with his transfer cost falling even lower to about £26 million this time. The former Wonder Kid has been sold for a total of £194.89 million over his career, making him the player with the fourth highest career transfer fee, according to Transfermarkt, even though he is only 25. What about the remaining 10, though? What position does Cristiano Ronaldo hold? And who barely misses out on 10th place, Kylian Mbappé? Continue reading to learn more. Coutinho, a former Liverpool and Barcelona star, is barely, almost, £259,000 ahead of Mbappé. During his time at Liverpool, the Brazilian wizard was seen by Barcelona because of his extraordinary talent for locating the top bins from beyond the box and his skill at curling the ball into the back of the net as if tracing a line. Following a first contact in the summer of 2017, he ultimately signed a contract with the Blaugrana in January 2018 for an incredible £116.57 million, with bonuses that would be added over time. In addition to the £3.3 million paid by Vasco da Gama to Inter in 2008, £11.23 million paid by Inter to Liverpool in 2013, £7.34 million paid by Barcelona to Bayern Munich in 2019, and £17.27 million paid by Barcelona to Aston Villa in 2022. Coutinho's career total comes to just about £155 million. Coutinho, a fantastic and talented player in his prime, has returned to Vasco da Gama after a first loan at Villa this summer. Even though Cunha has made a number of high-profile moves in his career, this one is surprising because he was just making major announcements about himself in the last 18 months. Of course, he completed a £62.5 million move from Wolves to Manchester United as recently as July. Don't worry, their name will undoubtedly be on this list once more, but that's just the beginning. When Cunha left Schaun in Switzerland for RB Leipzig in 2018 for £12.95 million, he actually caught the attention of the European big boys. He then moved to Hertha Berlin for £15.54 million in 2020 and then to Atletico Madrid for £30.22 million 18 months later. Unlike Félix, for instance, Cunha's fees increased steadily in tandem with his on-field development. After playing for Atletico for a few years, Cunha was loaned to Wolves, where he would eventually settle for £43.17 million. The Brazilian international is currently at United as his career continues to flourish after an incredibly remarkable 27 goals and 13 assists in 65 Premier League outings for Wolves. A year prior to Félix's 2019 Golden Boy victory, which made him the toast of Europe, De Ligt, the face of Ajax's comeback, accepted the prize for the continent's greatest young player. During Ajax's incredible Champions League run, which saw them defeat Real Madrid and Juventus and only ended by an absurd Lucas Moura hat-trick in Amsterdam, De Ligt was the key defensive leader. The centre-back has only made 3 moves as a result, but each time he has joined a historic powerhouse. In fact, his transfer resume must rank among the greatest in the league. The money paid for his services has, however, reportedly dropped with each passing season. Juventus initially paid £73.83 million to get him to Turin, and Bayern Munich then spent £57.85 million to help him resume his career after a lengthy lull. After being acquired for £38.87 million by his former Ajax manager Erik ten Hag last summer, De Ligt is now one of the most crucial central defenders in Ruben Amorim's 3-4-2-1 scheme. His generation's most overlooked player? Despite not having the La Liga title to show for it, the French forward has been among the finest players in Atletico's recent history for a good amount of time, so it's worth having the conversation. Although Griezmann's transfer fee was rather exorbitant, he is still a serious player and belongs to the group of players Barcelona bought after Neymar's well-publicized exit for about £200 million. After winning the World Cup in Russia, the World Cup winner joined Atleti from Real Sociedad for £46.63 million in 2014. 5 years later, Barca called, and he completed an incredible £103.62 million move. Even so, he was undoubtedly at the top of his game at this point. Strangely enough, Griezmann has never won the league in Spain, even though he has played for 2 of the 3 winning teams in the past 10 years. After Atleti had just won the trophy in 2014, he joined them, and he came to Barcelona under the same conditions. Then, in 2020-21, Atleti won it and loaned him £8.63 million for 2 years, but Barcelona won the league without him. After Griezmann paid £19 million to return to Atleti permanently in 2023, Barca won the championship 2 years later. He must undoubtedly be among the game's unluckiest players. If Griezmann's transfer history is among the worst, Morata's must be the most strange. Strangely, the Spanish number 9 has made more bounces than any other player on this list, although only 6 clubs are included in his 8 moves. He is also one of the rare players who has played for both of Madrid's teams more than once and survived to recount the story of their intense rivalry. Morata, who began his career at the Atleti Academy, was acquired by Real Madrid from Getafe in 2008 and remained there until 2014, when he moved to Juventus for £17.27 million. He then returned to the Bernabeu, £25.9 million, 2016, moved to Chelsea for £57 million in 2017, loaned to Atletico for £15.54 million in 2019, and finally joined the team permanently in 2020 for £30.22. However, Morata returned to Turin for a season-long loan fee of £17.27 million when Juventus called again. Morata was not finished yet, having now relocated 6 times in an amazing 6 years. He would return to Atletico in 2024 after spending 2 more years on loan in Italy. This time, he would join AC Milan for £11.23 million before, amazingly, he would take out another loan, this time to Galatasaray for £5.18 million, which would end in January 2026. Don't expect it to finish there, though, given the trajectory of his career. Dembélé, who is currently leading the Ballon d'Or race with Paris Saint-Germain, has a relatively quiet transfer history in contrast to Morata's stormy one. After suffering a string of injuries and playing inconsistently at Barcelona, the lightning-fast French forward was beginning to show indications of burning out far too soon. However, he suddenly appears to be reviving his career. PSG may have finally won the Champions League thanks to him, but it was a roundabout way to the top for a player who originally cost Barca £116.57 million, since the Neymar money left them with a massive financial hole. Following that massive move in 2017, he made his first move in 2016, from Stade Rennais to Dortmund for £30.22 million, and then again in 2023, from Barcelona to PSG for £43.17 million. Dembélé represents a huge financial loss for Barca, particularly when you take into consideration his salary and the time he missed due to injury, but he has unquestionably been a benefit to PSG, leading their push for the European recognition they have long desired. Although we have already visited João Félix Avenue, it is clear from reading the other players on this list that he is an exception. He is almost the same age as De Ligt and Cunha, but Felix was able to overcome the pressure of expectation that both players had. A young player who was already being compared to, I don't know, the best player his country has ever produced, and probably a top 4 or 5 player of all time, couldn't have benefited from it, but you can never really judge a player by their transfer fee. That's more of a question for the club directors who handle the deals in the first place. Football fans are undoubtedly saddened by Felix's passing, but it might serve as a warning to keep other young players from falling far short of their potential. Would there have been more assistance for him along the way? Perhaps we should have kept the player and the fee separate. Or is it a natural aspect of the game that not every transfer goes as planned? Regardless of the cause, Felix remains an exceptionally gifted athlete. He simply appears to be absolutely lacking in self-confidence and faith after bouncing around for the past few years, with it made apparent that he is not wanted. It's impossible to think that anyone could flourish in those circumstances. Now that we've reached the business end of the list, there aren't many more talented players than Ronaldo. He may have lost the Ballon d'Or hoarding rivalry to his fierce rival, Messi, but he will always have this advantage over the Inter Miami striker. Before spending over £100 million for a somewhat unproven 20-year-old was even a valid strategy in the transfer market, Ronaldo was signed by Man United from Sporting at the age of 18 for £16.4 million, which at the time was a record for a teenager in England. How about the highlights? We all know what he's done in the game, so it would be pointless to regurgitate it all here. He won 3 Premier Leagues, 2 Spanish and Italian league crowns, 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions Leagues, a European Championship, and an entire shoe closet full of golden boots during his 22-year career at the pinnacle of the game. Messi's major acquisitions have all been free transfers, whereas Ronaldo has twice cost more than £80 million. In 2009, he paid a then-record £81.17 million to join Real Madrid. In 2018, at the age of 33, he transferred to Juventus for £101.03 million. In 2022, he signed a reputed £175 million a year contract with Al-Nassr after returning to Manchester United for £14.86 million in 2021. In a bizarre turn of events, he will now join the guy who is rumored to be his successor. There are a lot of noteworthy aspects of this one, including 9 transfers, over £300 million, and the fact that, despite his high price tag, Lukaku has never been considered one of the true greats of the past 10 or so years. But Lukaku has been doing more than just hoarding movements like they were infinity stones. For almost his whole career, he has been in demand. The record goal scorer for Belgium came from the Anderlecht youth team and was acquired by Chelsea in 2011 for £12.95 million. Following his impressive performance at West Brom, Everton paid £3.02 million to bring him on loan. A year later, the Toffees made the move permanent for £30.53 million in 2014, before making significant moves to Chelsea, £97.57 million in 2021, Inter, £63.90 million in 2019, and United, £73.14 million in 2017. His career, however, appeared to have halted after that. Before his 10th and final move to Napoli, where he recently won the Serie A title, for £25.90 million in 2024, he had a string of loans at Inter and then Roma totaling £11.80 million. Lukaku has a clear route to the top if you look at the list of clubs there and his trajectory, but it still surprises me to find that he has only won 2 league titles in the top 5 leagues, with a few cups and the 2022 Club World Cup to go along with his Belgian league titles as a young player. While Lukaku put in a lot of effort with 9 movements to go up to second place, Neymar has obviously chosen efficiency, requiring just 3 trades to secure an incredible top rank. For the second greatest showman the game has ever seen, after Ronaldinho, of course, to be at the top of the heap is oddly appropriate at that moment. Even his transfers leave you speechless. With a plethora of montage-worthy performances for Santos, the Brazilian magician supreme made an appearance. His trademark mullet mohawk hairstyle matched the absurdity of his dancing. After moving to Barcelona at the age of 21 for £75.99 million in 2013, the fun continued in Spain, where he soon joined Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez as one prong of the MSN trident, sweeping Europe with a treble in 2014-15. He led Barcelona to an incredible 8 titles in 4 years before moving to Paris due to PSG's financial offers, attraction, and opportunity to play a key role in their narrative. That motion? That's right, it's still the highest transfer fee ever, a cool £189.97 million. Neymar failed to deliver the Champions League title he was brought to produce in Paris, and he was unable to do so even with Messi and Kylian Mbappé by his side. He left for Saudi Arabia and Al Hilal 6 years later for £77.71 million as PSG sought to rebuild and start over. In fairness, because they had just won the Champions League, history will prove that this was the right decision. Meanwhile, Neymar is back where it all started at Santos, where he will probably be aiming to play the rest of his career the way he started, by frightening Brazilian defenses like it's nothing and grinning broadly.